Hey guys, it's Quana and I'm back with a review. Welcome to my new channel, Her Real Review. So this is going to be my very spoilery, extremely opinionated, and somewhat agitated review of the new Netflix movie How It Ends. So, if you haven't already kind of gotten an idea of where this is heading, you can check out my non spoiler review where I kind of gave my very heavy opinion of the movie without giving anything away. But here is my spoilery breakdown of the movie. So, let's recap, okay? In case you have seen the movie or in case you don't plan to see the movie, and this is all you need to know about the movie. So the movie is about this couple named Sam and Will. Pretty sure his name is Will. Um, Will played by Theo James and Sam played by Kat Graham. And we see them together for like 3 minutes at best. They're a couple, they're gonna have a baby, and for some strange reason, he is getting on the airplane and going to visit her parents in Chicago to ask for her hand in marriage. But they don't plan to tell the dad that she's pregnant, and the dad doesn't like him, and some reason we don't know why she's staying behind, and we don't find out why. She's only like 2 seconds pregnant. We don't They don't tell us, oh, I've got a big meeting on Monday, I can't go with you. There's just no reason why. We don't find out why she's not going with her fiance so that he can ask for her hand in marriage, despite the fact that she knows that that's why he's going. Makes zero sense. So anyway, he hops on this plane. He does a couple of meetings while he's out there, and then he goes and has dinner with her parents. Her father, played by Forrest Whitaker, and her mother, played by Nicole Ari Parker, who is way too pretty and young looking to be playing Forrest Whitaker's wife. Not. I love Forrest. Forrest, if you're watching this, I love you. But yeah, it just kind of felt weird. Anywho, for some strange reason, her father, who is former military, like 27 years, a former Marine or something like that, hates Will. Something to do with a boat that he's not supposed to bring up, and yet he brings it up. And some boat that he supposedly crashed, and so now the dad hates him. And they get into it to the point where it's so uncomfortable that mom is like, maybe you should go home. And so subtly kicks him out of the house. And he goes back, wakes up the next day, is has overslept, is like running late for his flight. He gets to the air. Well, he calls Sam. They're talking on the phone, and then there's like some noise in the background, and then she's like, I don't know what's wrong. He's like, what's wrong? I don't know, but something's not right. And then it cuts out, and it's like a scene out of Take It. So it feels like that's our first comparison. So the first couple of moments of the movie are taken, definitely. So he gets to the airport, all the planes are grounded. There's been an event. They don't know what the event is, but for some reason, all the power is out. And for some strange reason, they can't fly the planes to go to the West because of their event that's happening, but they don't know what's going on, so they can't risk it. So he goes back to the former future in-laws house, and the dad's like, I can't reach Sam. And he's like, I spoke to her for a little bit, but I can't reach her either. And so he's like, all I want to know is, are you going to get in the car with me and go? And so he sends the wife to their son's house, and he and the future son-in-law are going to hop in the car and drive across the country from Chicago to get to Seattle so they can rescue her from the event that they don't know what the event is. Okay, so they go, and of course all of the gas stations are filled up. They're going to get gas. They're stopping. There's like the stereotypical scene with like the backwoods kind of, redneck roughnecks kind of guys, and there's the little woman who's going to somehow sexually lure the young impressionable young man on his to ask her for a ride, and then she's gonna swindle him out of his things. But of course he's engaged and with his father-in-law, so when it doesn't work, they threaten them, and then Forrest Whitaker pulls out a gun and it's like, don't make me bust a cap in yo. And the son in law is like, Theo James Carrot's like, what are you doing? Hello, these dudes just threatened to physically rearrange your body. Your father-in-law, future father-in-law, just saved your behind. Why are you saying anything? He's like, get in the car. You know, he's like, the Forrest Whitaker's like, get your behind in the car and drive. We're out of here. So as naive, and he's supposed to be like this naive kind of business savvy kind of person, but Theo James, what little bit of work he's known for is being an action star. He certainly has the action look and physique. And I'm not saying that you can't be a handsome nerd, but this guy is like in law school or something like that. Like there nothing about the way that they've written the character or the way that they've cast the character adds up to him being that naive in that moment. Like maybe if it was like this little, you know, nerdy kind of like, I've been in my lab all day cooking up something, then you can say, what are you doing with that gun? But like it didn't work. Like I just had such a problem with that scene. Just a little, it was irritating. So they get in the road, there's roadblocks. The Forrest Whitaker finesses this soldier into like letting them through because he's like mano y mano, soldier to soldier. So they get past the roadblock. Then there's like this sheriff's cop car that's like running them off the road, and of course it's not really a cop. They get into like a shoot off with the renegade sheriff's car, and Forrest Whitaker gets all banged up and like cracks some ribs, punches a lung. Theo James's character gets like bruised on his face or whatever. So they make their way to this reservation somewhere in the Midwest or somewhere in between heading there to Washington, and they meet up with this young woman named Ricky, who is a mechanic, and they offer her money to fix their banged up vehicles. And then Forrest Whitaker's like, hey, you know, we're going to get on this trip, but we don't know what's going to happen with the car, and if something happens, we can't fix it. Hey, why don't I pay you $2,000 to come on a road trip with us? And she, of course, is like, I don't know you cats. But then first he offers $1,000, and then he ups it when she's like, I don't know you cats. Y'all might be rapists or something. Side note, I am an extremely aware person. I'm aware of the various genders and the various, you know, androgynous persons, and I know it was intentional, but I don't know about you, but I was like, maybe it's a girl. Then when it got to the part where like they were talking, and Theo James's character was like, what do you want to be when you grow up or something like that, and she was like, a rapper, and I was like, oh, it's a boy. And then at the end they were like, she, and I was like, oh, so it was a girl. Like, I don't know about you, maybe just hit me up in the comments, were you confused? Because I was kind of confused until I actually looked it up and was like, oh, this is great stuff and very pretty with like makeup and long hair, but like complete 360. And I'm going to talk about that, about the changes that character made, but let's keep going. So they're on the road. They go to some friend's house of Will and Sam's, but the guy is gone, probably dead, and the wife is like already giving up hope. And he's like, you got to keep hope alive. And then they refresh themselves. They continue on the road, and then they run into a part of the country where I guess it's supposed to be like, I don't know if it's like California or like somewhere close to there, where something like fires have already broken out, and then they get taken over by like this woman who like was homeless or was needing help, and they stopped and asked her for help, and then their car got like all jacked by like with all their gas and stuff, so then they went to go like run those guys off the road, and they end up causing somebody's death, and Ricky can't take it, and so Ricky's like, I'm done, and Ricky's like, bye, and they lose Ricky, and it's all sad. And then, you know, they get to like San Francisco or someplace, and there's like, it's like, I assumed, I thought it was like the San Francisco Bridge or like the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever that bridge is called. And sorry, I didn't have a really good geography teacher growing up, so it's like blocked off, and there's barricaded by like this motorcycle / army gang, and then they have to like finesse themselves, like run them off the road and get out of there. And in the process of all of that, Will finally like learns how to like attack and shoot and all these different things, but alas, Will's character, Forrest Whitaker, succumbs to his punctured lung and dies, and it's very sad. And then for some strange reason, Will doesn't cry. It's sad, but not. He's like, I'm not too sad. It's like the bonding. Definitely, if you were like me, you thought action and bonding movie. You thought action slash Thelma and Louise, or with guys. And for all of the bonding that they were supposed to have done, there was not a lot of bonding in this movie. So it was not too sad. I was sad because he was the more interesting of the two characters, Forrest Whitaker. But like the Will character wasn't extremely sad. Like he ends up like lighting the car on fire and like five pops deuces. But there's this really touching scene right before he dies where he says he knows that Sam is pregnant and that he's going to make a good father, and basically gives his approval to marry his daughter. It don't matter because you're about to die. So eventually he gets to Seattle. There's a note saying Sam's gone, so he knows she's okay. But there's like all this red ash coming down, and so he has to drive to where this address is. And then Sam is there with their neighbor, and they've apparently bonded. And the neighbor has fixated, thinking that they're the last two on Earth, and he's going to hit it and smash. And he's not too happy that Will has showed up. And then there's this moment where, of course, like we don't see Will tell Sam about her dad's death. But then afterwards, they're laying in bed, and he's like apologizing for what happened. She's like, "It's okay," and there's no tears. She didn't look like somebody who just like had an emotional breakdown because her daddy died. It none of the emotion is there for me in this movie. Suffice to say, the neighbor has some really weird ideas about like this all being manufactured by the government, and it's not really a real, but it's like a scenario situation or something like that to like reset the country or something along those lines. And then he tries to kill Will, and Will kills him, and then whatever is coming is there. And I'm skipping some things that really weren't that important, like the family that he saves, which is really nice, and all that kind of stuff. But they get in the car and they start trying to outrun this ash cloud, and then it gets to the end, and they are driving, and it looks like the ash cloud is going to overtake them, but then it misses them, and literally that's the end of the movie. And so we assume maybe they live, but the ash cloud just seems like it's continuing to move further, so we don't know. We don't know what's caused it. We don't know what ends. So I was mad. I was extremely mad. Like I feel like I wasted like an hour and a half or 2 hours of my life. The movie was too much of there's this movie that came out. You guys will remember. I'm going to remember the name in just a second, and I'll post it up here. Where it was like the end of the world situation. These aliens come. These friends get locked into an apartment with like the sealed off window kind of thing, and when they wake up in the morning, the aliens are there, and they're destroying the planet, and they're trying to get out and outrun and get to like someplace safe. And then it ends up being like where the girlfriend is pregnant, and then like the aliens end up eating them or something like that. But then like he ends up like being consumed by the alien, but then like getting the alien to not kill the girlfriend because she's pregnant. It was weird, but it felt like that. Like it's a formulaic post-apocalyptic movie, so it's not much you can do with it. But what you're supposed to do with it is bring good actors or good action to the table. Bring, okay, maybe not a lot of dialogue, they're men, but bring some real moments where we care about the characters. And you failed. I don't care about these characters. I don't care about the I was just like everybody else, pissed that the movie is called How It Ends, and we don't get how it ends. We don't even get if it ends. It should have just been called Ending. Like it just didn't make any sense. I was just disappointed. And Netflix has been doing this. They've been making these movies that are deeply disappointed, but then casting these great actors in it and somehow convincing the actors that these movies are going to be good, and then giving trash movies. Like I want you to watch this clip with Kat Graham where she talks about the movie. And one of the things that she talks about is how interesting the movie is and the big ambiguity of the ending. And she's basically telling us that this movie is trash, but she somehow convinced herself that it's not trash because she's in it. And it's like, I don't believe that all these people would sell out just for the paycheck. Somehow they've been convinced or sold a bill of goods that this is a good movie, and it wasn't.
For me personally, anyone that knows me is like, oh yeah, you're in the apocalypse. Like, I'd be the first one dead. The world can be different things to different people. So I definitely felt a connection to, you know, what would you do? What would you take if you had no time and you didn't know how long you had and you were, you know, fleeing for your life?
Have you talked to Sam?
We got disconnected.
What's the last thing she said?
She sounded scared.
You want to know how it ends. I definitely think that it could be open-ended or it could end right there, and I think that's what makes this, one of the reasons that makes this movie so incredible. Even when I saw it, it took me by surprise. Because
So this movie was trash. It was complete trash. I'll give it 2 stars because Forrest Whitaker was in it. I'll give it 2 stars because Grace Stubb, she did the thing. And it's very stereotypical. The character that she plays is like the stereotypical wise Native American figure where she's like wise beyond her years and she's helpful and she's helping them and she helps them to survive and they can't survive really without her. But she was like the only likable character in the movie. Forrest Whitaker, he gets by because he's Forrest Whitaker, but even his character wasn't that intriguing. He was like a light version of Liam Neeson. Like, Liam Neeson would have did the thing. He would have been punching people. Like, Forrest Whitaker, he couldn't even really like fight anybody. This movie was just stressful to no end because I feel like I wasted my time. So in order to not waste any more of your time, that's my review. Most people thought it was trash, but I will say this. If you're sitting at home on a Friday and you have nothing better to do and you want to watch a movie instead of a series and there's nothing else on and you can't figure out something and you don't want to watch anything on repeat, sure, check it out. How it ends. And this is how I end. Bye.